Hello, hello. How is it going, everyone? This is Eunice Tan coming live from Singapore. If you can hear me loud and clear, type loud and clear in the chat box. Right, audio is fine. Right, how is it going, everyone? My name is Eunice. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and trainer. Welcome to our Facebook page and YouTube channel on Daily People Skills. Let us know where you are watching this from. Once again, are you watching this from Singapore or overseas? If you're watching this from overseas, let us know which country, what time zone, good afternoon, good morning, and how's the situation over there? Are you working from home or are you, have gone back to normal in your country? If you're working from watching this from Singapore, are you still working? Have you had your dinner? Let us know, right? Now, once again, welcome to our weekly Facebook live sessions where we share our experiences when dealing with people and the mistakes we made, and of course, many of the hot tips and solutions we use in our daily lives. Now, many people think that people skills is just about EQ, communication skills, leadership skills, but people skills go much, much beyond that. At the bottom line is about who you really, really are, because before you can manage anyone, you must first manage yourself. It is also one skill that will never be replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. More about that later. So for now, let's jump right into today's topic. Now, today's topic is going to be very interesting, right? So how do you handle disappointments? Right, it's the end of the year, time to take stocks. Are you satisfied or disappointed with your results for the last 12 months? And have you noticed how disappointments happen not just at year end? It can happen anytime, any place, to anybody. In fact, disappointments happen regardless of time and space and people. So how do you handle disappointments? Can anything good come out of disappointments? In these sessions, I'm going to explore how you can beat disappointments and not be beaten by disappointments. So let's get started for today. Right, first and foremost, what is disappointment? Right, you may be asking, disappointment? Of course, I know what is disappointment, but let's just take a look, okay? Let's start from the beginning, right? So disappointment usually is there's a gap between what you visualize and what was actualized. So just to give you an example of disappointment, right? Most of us know what disappointment is. It's just a various degree. But just let me show you what a recent disappointment to me is. It can be as simple as this, right? So I went to get my dinner and I saw this picture, right? It says the display was this, and it's a steamed dish with chicken, sausage, and mushroom, right? It looks so nice. And this was what was actualized. Right, so it's really miserable, it's really depressing and all. If you go to my personal Facebook, I post this as well. Now, yes, I understand pictures are usually for display purpose only, for illustration purpose only, not to be taken too seriously. But then again, this is too much, right? So, and it doesn't even taste good. So there's a gap between what you visualize, what you expected, or what actually happened. So, and then, the feeling of being let down, it's just, such a big gap. And we put disappointment in that sense, define disappointment in that way, right? For this purpose. Now, there are different types of disappointment as well. And you might be thinking, different types of disappointment? How could that be? Because disappointment is disappointment, right? Right? A lot of people don't even realize there are different types of disappointment. Right? Now, I wouldn't classify it into too many types, but generally there are two types of disappointment that I put into. First is, are you disappointed with others, or are you disappointed with yourself? Now, why I put this as the first category? Because sometimes there is a difference between disappointed with others and versus disappointment with your own self, because some of us are more critical on our own self, right? So when it's disappointment with ourselves, sometimes it's very hard to get out of it. But some people, is very disappointed with others because you feel that, you have such great expectation, this person just let you down and it's just so unexpected. It's very hard to for some of you, it's very hard to get out of it when others disappoint you. Now, another type of disappointment is in terms of tangible versus intangibles. Now, what do I mean? Now, tangible disappointment, right? Okay, so tangible disappointment is about not getting the results that you want. Okay, it's very tangible. The results is very tangible. Quantitative even. So for example, if you want to earn $1 million, you want to get that promotion, you want to get that deal, you didn't close that deal, you didn't get to the high performers, the top performers of your industry, you didn't get the award. Those are very tangible. It's about not getting the results that you want. Now, intangible is slightly different in the sense that you got the results you want, right? That meaning that you get $1 million cash, $1 million deal, you get the award, you get the promotion, you get whatever it is that you set out to achieve. So you got the results you want, right? Yet you still feel disappointed, empty, unfulfilled. Now, and you feel this emptiness, right? And this unfulfillment, whereby is that it? Now, this is this goes something beyond the tangible results, meaning that actually there's some other emotional needs that you are trying to fulfill with the tangible results. So for example, let me give you an example, it's easier to explain, right? So you might be thinking that, okay, if I get that $1 million, if I get the big house, that big car, that position, I'm a CEO of a multinational company, I'm a listed company, you thought after getting all those tangibles, right, you would gain people's respect, right? There are people like that, right? And there's no condemnation, and it's very common. It's very common that I want to gain people's respect, and I thought that by doing all this, I will gain people's respect. Now, the thing about intangibles is that when you after getting all the tangible results, you still feel that emptiness because it did not bring you the people's respect the way you thought it would be. Meaning that you get the $1 million deal, but you still don't gain people's respect. And in this kind of situation, right, you need to know that what is it that you really, really want. In this case, what you really want is people's respect and not the $1 million, not the big house, not the big car, not the promotion, not the performance, not the awards. So you're going after the wrong thing, right? You want people's respect. You need to go for other things. You're going for people's respect, not for that tangible results, right? So you need to be very clear. Why am I talking about this? Because you need to be very clear what is it that you are disappointed with. And between what you visualize and what you expected, what you actually get. So you need to know what is it. So a lot of people think that disappointment is just not getting what you want. So sometimes you get what you want. So what you want in terms of tangibles, but you are not getting the results that you're not getting the intangible, which is actually the true goal that you want. Right? So you need to be very clear in what is it that you are going after. So otherwise you are just solving the wrong problem. I always say to solve a problem, you must first know what's the problem, and you must know what are you disappointed with in the first place, right? And so how do we handle disappointment? Yes, right. I'm going to just share a couple of methods, and some of the methods that are that may be common, that may be using now, but there are many methods. Just let me share a couple, okay? Right. First and foremost, let it out. Okay. So this is so important. If you are disappointed, right, and it's okay to just so to let it out in that sense. You don't have to hold it in, keep it together, and be strong. Act strong, and you don't try to push it away. Don't try to hide it under a big smile. Okay, right? It is okay to give yourself a certain amount of time to feel disappointed, to feel sad, even to feel angry, or whatever it is. You need to just let the emotion out in a healthy way, in a constructive way, in a not destructive to others. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others. Now, one of the ways is, of course, you can sweat it out. Now, when you sweat it out, right, you go for exercise, or you just simply go for a walk, right? Exercise have always been known to release the endorphin, right? The hormone endorphin to make you feel better. And it's true, after it's very common for people to go to the gym, sweat it out, or go for a jog, go for a run, and they feel much better once they sweat it out. Some people can't run like me. I would just go for a walk by the beach, and then you let the sea breeze calm you down and that kind of stuff. Once you are in the open air, you will find that it opens up your heart so much better. You feel better, and you won't you just don't feel so cooped up anymore. So that's one way to let it out in a healthy way and a constructive way, and not a destructive to others or to yourself. Now, of course, another way very commonly is people eat, right? Now, I'm very hesitated to talk about eating in that sense. Now, sometimes, yes, it's okay to eat as a form of venting out, but just be careful, because some of us are prone to, it might turn into binge eating, right? And it's going to cause downward spiral and cause even more problem. Now, if you're not someone who eat a lot, binge eat a lot, you kind of can control your diet before the disappointment, right? On a normal day, most of the time, then yes, I think eating is a form of venting as well, right? So for me, sometimes I do. So I usually watch my diet, eat healthy and all. But once in a while, I would have my sugar fix. I will just go for my rubbish food and all that. But I make sure I don't have it like too often. Once a week is like my max, or twice at most. And and so that's how I keep it in check, and I don't go into the binge eating part. And I always draw a boundary. I draw a line not to be crossed. So if I allow myself to eat for the period of time because I'm disappointed, maybe I allow myself 3 days to eat, regardless of what's going on. I can eat whatever I want during that 3 days, and after that I will stop. I will go back to my normal eating, right? And also, if let's say you are someone who might have a little bit of self-control issue, maybe what you can do is just eat with a friend. And you don't eat alone, eat with somebody. So as you eat, right, then that person will kind of picture, are you don't you think you are eating too much? Or if you don't want to eat with other people, take photo of what you have been eating for that 3 days or 1 week, right? And then when you look back and say, oh, I think I have eaten too much. I think this is fine. I've already ran it out. I already let out all my emotion. It's time to stop, right? So allow yourself to sort of breathe, for lack of better word, or just let the emotions come up. Don't hold it in. And it's very important, because sometimes when you hold it in, it doesn't go away. In fact, it becomes something else. It becomes resentment, it becomes unforgiveness, it becomes bitterness, and feel very jaded. So you do need to let it out first. Then you can look at the things more objectively. Then you can deal with things. Now you are ready to take in new perspective, taking new suggestion, taking new methods to how do you handle this disappointment, or how do you move forward from here on, right? Which leads me to the next few points. Secondly, you choose your response options, right? So it's how you respond with the disappointments. Now, don't be in a victim mode for too long. So earlier on, I talked about letting out, right? Okay, so it's okay to go into all this, but don't be in a victim mode for too long. Give yourself a boundary, like say a week, or 3 days, that kind of stuff. After that, you have to stop. And once that's done, you ask yourself, what positive lessons can you get out of it, right? Disappointment, just learn that disappointment is actually part and parcel of life, right? You sometimes you cannot stop disappointments from happening, because it's what other people are doing that disappoint you, right? So just remember, I talked about your type of disappointment, whether you're disappointed with others or you're disappointed with yourself. Now, sometimes things happen, right? We can't choose the disappointments. Sometimes we have no say in what happened, but we can choose how to respond. So we can look at the options that we have. So we choose not to be in a victim mode for too long. We can choose what positive lessons can we get out of it. We can choose to accept that disappointment is part and parcel of life. Learn to manage it rather than let it manage you, right? We can choose to take personal responsibility. Don't blame, don't justify or give excuses. Just move on, right? We can do that. You know that you can just list out all the options that you can respond and choose the positive one. Don't choose the negative ones, right? And which brings me to also to the another point, which is you change what you associate the disappointment with, right? So you can view how do you associate a disappointment with. So some people very often, right, when we have a kind of disappointment, especially with our own self, right, we may see ourselves as a failure. Now, don't do that, right? Okay, don't go into that. Just because the venture failed, that action failed, that or whatever you did failed, doesn't make you a failure. It's just that that thing didn't work out, right? So you really must separate the actions, what happened, and who you are. What you did and who you are. Always separate that. If you have been watching my video for a while, you know that I always separate what you do from who you are. Very important, right? So you just don't associate disappointment with, especially with yourself, as like you know you are a failure. Don't be careful on what you associate disappointment with. Now you view it as a learning lesson. So you associate disappointment with a learning lesson. It will turn out to be good. It will turn out disappointment can turn into a disappointment. The THIS, okay? So disappointment is DIS, right? Now DIS, or generally there's a few meanings, and one of the meaning is to negate whatever it is. So if it's DIS appointment, that means it's negate the appointment. But you can always turn it around and say that it can be disappointment, THIS appointment. You can turn your life around. It doesn't have to be a setback. It can be a setup for a greater thing, right? So you need to be very careful about any negative self-talk or any negativity that comes into it. So don't if you are associating disappointment with anything negative, right? Or maybe it's a partner, a business partner, or an employee that disappointed you. They did something not so good. They left the company, and it's not on very amicable terms and all that. Don't associate with negativity, but or negative self-talk. Rather, you just see it as a viewing lessons and learning lesson, and see how you could have done it better. Right? Don't. This is one thing I want to highlight, because a lot of people associate disappointment with negativity, right? So and then they become bitter, they become jaded, they become hatred, even, or unforgiveness developed. This is very bad for you as a person, for your own growth, right? So I know it's very can be very you can be very angry. You can, it's really unjustified. You put in so much effort and then things happen. This kind of disappointment happen. Yes, it does. That's why I say let it out in the first place. Then once you let it out already, those negative talk, the negative self-talk, negativity is going to affect you as a person more than the other person, right? So you need to make sure that you don't associate disappointment with negativity for too much, right? And how do you do that? One way of how I do is, after that, is I stay focused. Okay, I will stay focused on my goals and what really matters, or who really matters in my life, right? So I will remind myself that, why do you go for that job? Why do you go for that promotion? Why do you go for that deal? What do you do this? What do you partner with that person? Why do you collaborate with that person, right? Or whatever it is, right? So remember, what was the goal to begin with, right? Why did you do it? What was the objective you wanted to do, to achieve in the first place, right? You wanted maybe to build your business. Maybe you want to grow yourself. You thought this collaboration would be good, right? So remember, your objective is not just to collaborate with that person. Your objective is to grow, right? So meaning that you can't just take it that you can't grow with this person, right? Just move on and grow with somebody else. Don't give up on the goal of growing, right? But rather change it. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm jumping ahead of myself, right? But just change a certain aspect of your expectations, right? Just change. Don't change your goal, right? If you want that $1 million deal, you want that promotion, you want that award, keep to that. But you just change some parts of it. So you stay focused on your goals and what really matters in your life and who really matters in your life. Ultimately, is the who. This is what this channel is all about. It's about who, right? It's your family that matters. You still have your family, your friends, people who love you. You still have your health, you are very blessed, and you are still, you are more fortunate than anybody and most of the people in this world, right? Once you do that, right, you will be able to get out of that disappointment very quickly, right? And the next thing is to find your footing again. Now, you can start where you fell, right? You pick up where you fell in small steps, right? Take it easy, right? Gain your momentum slowly. Don't be in a hurry to, wow, last time I was here, and then now because of that, I dropped until, below I'm in a negative, and I'm -10 now. Last time I was 100, now I'm -10, right? And I want to get to 1,000 now, right? You just recover yourself in small steps, and then as you get in small steps, you gain your momentum, right? Now, it's like, it's like in the exercise, right? When you play game, when you play sports, right? If you go into it too fast, you might get muscle tear, right? Why do we go warm? You always say warm up first, because we don't want to get muscle cramp, muscle tear. You hurt yourself. By the same token, if you want to, you want to, in a haste, right? You want to recover, you want revenge, you want to show the other party, prove who you are and things like that. Sometimes because of this eagerness to get over very quickly, and more of the remind me of saying more haste, less speed, right? So you might hurt yourself. So you need to just start where you fell in small steps first. Now, always just remind yourself what seems like a setback might be a setup for something bigger and better, right? And which bring me to the next point is to review. Now, when you find your footing again, right, you need to review. Review, how do you review? Remember, it's always what works and what can be improved, not what's wrong. So watch your words. I always believe the power of life and death is in your tongue. You need to be very careful in what the choice of words, and your choice of words there's always empowering power. It can empower you or can disempower you. But you need to review. Now, this disappointment, is it a recurring pattern? Is it like, you always get people backstab you, or, what's going on? Or, this deal is always last minute, at the last step, it fell through. What is it? If you see that it's somehow is a recurring pattern, there's something you need to ask yourself also. You need to look at, hey, is there something that is, mentally, your mindset, is it self-sabotaging yourself? Or is it that you are really, you need to be more, you need to be wiser and put your foot down, you need to be more firm, and, maybe last time you are very easygoing, nothing put in writing, but maybe it's time for you to consider put everything in writing. Maybe sometimes things you need to go by the book rather than go easy, because we are friends, and then we just I trust you, you trust me, and we don't document things down. Now, I have learned, why I mention that is because I have learned, right? And I collaborate with a lot of my friends come and help me, and we go from friendship to official work relationship, right? The first thing I always tell them is that work is work, friends are friends, and we still document things down. We, no matter what, and so that that is precisely because I treasure our friendship. We need to do this. We need to go by the book, and most of them, they understand where I'm coming from, and they are agreeable with me as well. So you need to know what is is it a recurring pattern? Because I used to go easy on people, and then things fall apart, and then so I have to learn my lesson as well. Now, one of the things that people always tell you is to review your expectation. Oh, you need to check your expectations and whether whether is it realistic or not. I'm a little bit too hard on that, whether to lower your expectation, which brings me to the next point, right? How to adjust your expectations constructively. Now, I'm not sure whether lowering your expectation is a good thing to do, but what I want to tell you is that adjusting your expectation does not necessarily mean lowering your expectation. Now, there are some things you just cannot lower your expectation. It's a given. You just cannot expect, like, if you're a boss, you're an employer, you cannot lower your expectation to say that, this employee, my employee, so long they don't steal more than $1,000, that's fine. Anything below 1,000 is fine. You can't, right? So there are some expectations you just cannot lower, right? But what you can do is that you don't lower your bar, but you can adjust other aspects of your expectations. Okay, let me explain. For example, right? So you want to make $1 million, for example. Now, when you set that goal, but if it didn't happen, now the thing is that you set the goal of making $1 million, and you want to make it tomorrow, right? So you can adjust your other aspects in terms of timeline, energy required, your method or your frequency, and diversity in everyone. So meaning that when you want to make that $1 million, last time you set your goal to make $1 million by tomorrow. Now, I don't suggest you lower the $1 million goal, right? Okay. So if you want, go ahead, right? There's nothing wrong with that in that sense. Just know why you want to make that $1 million. That's for another video. We'll talk about it in a minute, in another video. But what you can do is that you adjust the timeline. So you can't be making $1 million tomorrow, but maybe you can make $1 million in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years. Now, before you say that, oh, $1 million is impossible, right? Okay, the reason why I always use $1 million in my example, in a lot of my examples, right? Because it's very quantifiable, it's very objective. Most people can visualize, right? So $1 million, do you know that most of us can make $1 million in our lifetime? So if you have a job that is 2,005 a month, and there's no increment, there's no bonus, there's no nothing, right? You work for 50 years, you actually make $1 million, right? So it is not impossible, but there is $1 million in your lifetime. Now you need to ask yourself how long, how fast, or how slow you want to make that $1 million. That's just an example. Now, another adjustment that you can make in another aspect is maybe it's the energy required. So, for example, if you want to start your own business, I run a business consultancy firm, so I know I deal with a lot of startups, right? So I know what are the requirements, what are the things required to start a business. And sometimes, very often, a lot of people underestimated the energy required sometimes, right? Sometimes the thing is that you want to do this, There's so many things to look at. There are 10,001 things to look at, right? And everything needs energy, needs a certain amount of energy. Maybe you didn't take that into consideration. So, for example, even when I do videos, right? A lot of people look at people who do videos and they think that, you just on the camera and we can start talking. Actually, not quite true. There's still some amount of preparation to be done. So there are certain things that you maybe underestimated the energy that amount of energy that is required to put into the effort, because you need to think, right? You need to think what you want to do. You need to plan. You need to strategize. Sometimes you just need that. You just can't rush things, right? So, and sometimes you also underestimated, your body needs to rest as well, right? You can't be running on a 24/7. You may be able to do so for 2 days, 3 days, but not for long. It's not sustainable. So you need to look at that, right? Sometimes so another aspect you can adjust is in terms of the method. So maybe you cannot, again, come back to the $1 million example. Maybe you cannot make $1 million this way, but maybe you can make $1 million another way, right? So this is what I mean by don't lower your expectation, but adjust your other aspects. So you can't, maybe you can't sell, if you are selling products offline, it's going to take you a long time to, you're not going to make $1 million in a year. But if you sell online and you do your marketing right and everything, it's possible for you to make that $1 million in a year, right? So so you need to change your method. Now, sometimes it's also maybe your frequency. So, for example, your expectations, right? You expect, right? You want to make that $1 million. Your frequency may not be able to, it may not be $1 million, may not be a good example. But for example, you want to build a relationship with somebody. You want to meet your friends, but you want to meet them once every week. Sometimes it's not possible, and your friends might not be able to meet you once a week, right? But they can meet you once a month. Now, if you keep thinking about once a week, right? So you might be disappointed. Hey, how come they don't want to meet me for once a week, right? Why do they? Is it because they don't like me or whatsoever? You start to think downward spiral. You thought these people are okay to meet you once a week, but actually, it's not about you. It's about their own schedule as well. Sometimes they just cannot make it. They can only make it once a month, right? And you might have miscalculated. You might be a bit off target in terms of the frequency. You think that in order to build that relationship, I need to meet them once a week, but maybe, just maybe, once a month is more than enough, right? I know a lot of my associates, business associates, and outside business, right? There are some people whom I see them once in a while, but we spend a great time. Yes, we spend maybe 3-4 hours at one go, but we only meet maybe once a month or once every 2 months. But in between, we will text each other, that kind of stuff. But you know what? Our relationship maintained as good as ever. I have a group of friends who I meet only 4 times a year, and you know what? We can just pick up where we left off, just like that. I've met friends who I have not met for 2 years, right? And we just go into conversation. Why? Because sometimes there are times when we just random text to each other. So this is how you can maintain relationship with others as well. So sometimes maybe you miscalculated or misexpected, underestimated or overestimated the frequency required. Now, the one more thing I want to talk about in terms of the aspects is in terms of the diversity in everyone. Now, in terms of expectations, right? So, in terms of disappointments, expectations, so sometimes you need to see your expectations, right? Maybe you expect this staff, right? Let's say you are a boss and you employ someone to do, let's say, admin and or operations or video editing, but it turned out to be a little bit different from what you expected, right? You're a little bit disappointed, but remember that there are different diversity. There's diversity in everyone. So maybe this person, in terms of admin, right, they are not as what you thought, but their administration maybe is in another area in that sense. So maybe they are not very good in terms of the physical hard copies, but they are very good in terms of sorting out all your soft copy in line. So you can just go online and then you can see everything. So that's the diversity in that sense. So some people maybe they are let's say video editing. Now there are different forms and different types of video productions and video editing, right? So it's really different. So some people are just different. Some people they are just more corporate. Some people are just funny or more social, more informal. So you need to see whether is it okay to use their method. No, I know of some teammates, right? Some of my teammates, no matter how, because maybe it's a millennial thing, they're of a younger generation. So how he does it, right? He's actually quite adorable. Now he is involved in training, for example, and the way he train, he can doodle very well, he can draw very well. So and he's very on a more informal side. He's only in his 20s, right? So when he train people, he likes to use drawings. He likes to draw pictures. So he use all these to train, right? And where some people they use like charts, checkpoints, they list down checklists and they list down all the points. Some people they use PowerPoint. Some people they use physical activities to illustrate their points. Now it doesn't really it's okay. There's different people, different folks, different strokes, right? And also depend on the audience. So again, go back to the goal that you want. Your goal is actually, let's say your goal is actually to train to teach people, right? And you employ this person as a trainer. Now it doesn't really matter how the method. Sometimes what matters is that they deliver the results from time to time. So you might be expecting oh, he do his training in this way, but he turned out to be another way. But why not? Just think about it. Does he achieve the result? If he achieves the result, even though it's an informal setting, he does it in a little bit informal way, why not? So you can adjust and acknowledge that there is a diversity in everyone. So when once you acknowledge that and see their pros and cons, see their strengths, their flaws, which I talked about in another video, you can go and check it out. So once you have done that, right, then you will see that actually maybe it's okay. It's not as bad as you think it is, right? Okay, so these are the 2 points that we talked about in terms of adjusting your expectation constructively, right? So we just want to say that sometimes we may not be able to control the situation. We may not be able to choose the situation. What happened, but we can choose. We have a choice how we respond to the disappointment. right? You can always choose what you do, what you say, what you think, how you respond, right? So here you go, some of the ways on how you can beat disappointments and not be beaten by disappointments. Obviously, there are different methods to handle disappointments. What about you? How do you handle disappointments? Let us know in the comments box. Right, that's all I have for today. Do you have a burning question when it comes to people, whether it's dealing with others or yourself? Let us know in the comments box, or you can drop us a message. We'll answer to the best that we can. Now, many people have asked me why am I speaking and doing training on topic on people skills. Not necessarily the most easiest topic to talk about, or even mainstream, but I truly believe it's because people skills is a very practical and important skill set. I would say it's a life-saving skill set. I know many of you are concerned about being replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. I totally believe that people skills is one skill that will never be replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. You can learn about coding, cybersecurity, or whatever competent skills for your occupation, but these are technical skills that will get obsolete, and you will have to keep improving yourself in this area. Yes, they are important. I'm not knocking them down, but behind every hardware, software, non-living thing, there's a human being. This is what keeps me going, because I know behind every camera there is one person watching, learning, needing this message. It doesn't matter what business or what industry are you in, you are always dealing with people. And furthermore, let's face it, we are all social animals. We crave for the company of other people. This pandemic has shown us more so than ever. With all this safe distancing, right? Not able to gather with your family and friends, it has shown us that even with the best technology, it cannot replace the company of each other. So you might as well start learning how to deal with people. And the first person to start with is with yourself. So hit the like and share button, subscribe and follow us in this journey of improving yourself. See you in our next video. Bye.